What's going on, everyone? Jeremy from the Quartering, and they got me, boys. I went into the Hearthstone chat. I said just a few words. I mean, words that anybody out there might say and enjoy. And it was instantly banned, and I was given... I was banned for what? A full day. Now, what were those words? Well, of course, they were... liberate Hong Kong, a revolution for our time. But you know, I thought that was okay. I wasn't sure. I was just testing. I died for our sins, my own sins. So I suppose it was worth it. I probably should have used an alt account, but nonetheless, I was able to confirm that it is an instant ban. It wasn't something that was like moderated out. You can see the chat even after the event is just full of off-topic stuff that isn't necessarily being moderated out. And this is the position that Blizzard put itself in. I noticed this morning that Play Hearthstone is now censoring Free Hong Kong in Twitch chat. By the way, I support this ban. I do. I support removing any and all non-off-topic conversation from these type of events. Now, like on my Twitch chat, I don't care what people talk about, okay? You do you. But if I'm Blizzard or I'm Riot, or let's just be honest, if I'm China, I just want the conversation to be about the game because that might expose me to a little bit of trouble. And you end up like Blizzard where you're in this position because you put yourself there. That's the only reason. When I went into their chat, just as a test, I did type the Liberate Hong Kong, the revolution of our times. They also have many rules that you have to agree to before you can even chat. And you also have to be a follower to chat, and you have to have been following for 30 minutes. This is, of course, to prevent probably people from roasting them too badly. But they have zero tolerance for the following. The very first thing they link is hate speech, which is hilarious. Disrespecting staff or mods, irrelevant advertising and links, releasing private information, encouraging others to break through. So at no point is, I mean, you could argue that irrelevant advertising and links might fit it, but as it stands right now, they actually don't have a rule here against that. This is another example that, look, Hearthstone, I'm expecting to be unbanned because I followed your rules. What I said was not against Twitch terms of service. I obviously didn't say any hatred speech. I didn't disrespect any mods. I didn't provide any advertising links. I didn't release any private information. And I didn't encourage any others to break the rules or circumvent these rules in any way. So Blizzard, what's going on? You yourself can't get it together. Multi-billion-dollar corporation still can't get their stuff together. I want to be unbanned so I can have a chat in this conversation or have a say in obviously the ongoing conversation. You see they are getting trolled pretty strongly. They have MooBot, which is apparently their sensory bot that is removing things. But obviously you see a lot of things in here. Broadcast got blitzchunged. You got references to China. I watch because I hate HK. I mean, this is what you did, Blizzard. Like it or not, you've positioned yourself as anti-Hong Kong, which is not a great position to be. And there was actually a really interesting article on the Federalist that talked about the Blizzard gaming boycott is just the tip of the iceberg of the Chinese censorship iceberg. And hilariously, I see a lot of people, you know how Riot Games released like, I don't know, 75 new games this week? Everyone's like, I'm going to spend my money with Riot. Got them. And I'm just like, who's going to tell them? You know, Blizzard is owned, what, 9% by Tencent? They're 100% Chinese owned. So who's going to tell them? If you somehow manage to browse the internet without hearing about the Blizzard debacle, let me catch you up. Well, you guys already know. America's tug of war with their censorship. We can set up a problem like this. The Chinese government will never budge on censorship, but Western consumers will raise Heck, when they feel they are being subjected to it. Fair enough. I would agree with this. It's evident in the cases with Blizzard and Apple. So far, the trend has been Western companies walking a very thin line between losing access to the Chinese market and losing their customer base everywhere else. I'm not like a big moralistic guy. I tend to have like my own code, but I don't push that on anyone else. But here's a thought. If you're choosing between doing business in this place and sacrificing all of your customers in this place in order to do it, maybe the other place isn't worth it. Just saying. This can't last forever. The Chinese government will not be content with repeated incidents of this kind, and Western consumers will prove allergic to the CCP censorship. Moreover, the U.S. government is showing itself increasingly willing to challenge them economically, and the trade battle right now, which has exacerbated all of this to a great degree, something has to give. When you hear a dispatch from the White House saying America is reaching the first phases of a trade deal with China, don't be fooled. This is far from over. The U.S., even if it hammers out a deal, will still make policy changes to decouple its economy from China's. By the way, I support this 100%. The conflict is far more profound than the election of a hot-headed American president, and it will continue long after he's out of office, of course. Keep in mind that these are extreme outcomes. Various mixtures of each are all possible, and it's always in the middle, right? There are three factors: the stubbornness of the Chinese government, the stubbornness of Western consumers, and the trade battle and deeper economic conflict, the American and the Chinese. Of the three factors, something has to give. Either Western consumers must accept a certain amount of CCP censorship. What do you mean? We already are. Our major media outlets like Disney and like Marvel films, and we saw with Star Wars, they're already doing it. We just didn't even notice. Now people are getting educated on the things that they're doing here, both in video games. For example, we can look at Blizzard removing skeletons. We can see Blizzard removing dark-skinned characters from their game for China. You can see when they wanted to remove blood effects and slot machines from, what was that, Rainbow Six a year ago. We're starting to see this stuff pile up, and every time we do, it's just another file, another sheet of paper in the file of reasons to decouple. First possibility is, I don't want to go through necessarily all that. While the shrinking of the Chinese economy will cause economic problems worldwide, it would at least have one positive effect. The CCP would no longer have a big enough bargaining chip to enforce its censorship on foreign countries. Perhaps it would be possible to convince them to do without removing the economic clout, but I'm pessimistic on the possibility and cannot see their government removing its censorship. Of course they won't. Why would they? Look, they've got not just like thousands or millions, but hundreds of millions in almost every major industry here in the United States. Video games, movies, universities. Didn't they give like $100 million to Reddit or something like that? Chances are, if there's a big technology company, there's a big pile of China bucks somewhere that you don't know about. And Western companies are fine to take money. That's how we're set up. We're set up to just accept money and from all places, because that's what capitalism is. But along with the negative side of that, one of the negatives to that is that now you're bending the knee, or you start to design a different product in order to avoid having to create two products. And that's where I really get concerned. Yes, you can look at something like the Star Wars movie poster, where here in the United States, the black man Finn, John Boyega, I believe his name is prominent on the front poster. You go to China, he's like lighter skinned, and he's like way off to the back on the poster. All these blue-haired and neon-haired people who are upset about everything, why aren't they boycotting Disney for that? Why are they allowing Disney to accept what can only be described as race-related? They're effectively minimizing a black man to appease a different market. It's disgusting. And if people are going to be upset about not using the right pronouns, maybe they should look at some of the stuff that our companies here, big companies, Disney, Marvel, Blizzard, these companies are Ubisoft, willingly doing this stuff either ahead of time in their games to prevent having to recreate them in order to enter the Chinese market, or they're doing it quietly after the game's been out a year. In either case, this is unacceptable, and Blizzard, please unban me. In Hearthstone, I didn't break any of your rules. I expect to be able to chat as soon as possible. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.